Welcome back here. You know, the poll's got this thing neck and neck, and it's not just one poll. Poll after poll show just how tight this is, and I think everybody agree it's going to be that way all the way to the end, barring some huge development. But Mitt Romney, as I mentioned, has got a challenge when it comes to some demographics, especially when it comes to capturing the female vote. In a recent poll, Obama was way ahead by as much as 8 points in the group, and in certain swing states, that number even bigger. The gap could be owed to the GOP's relatively unfriendly stance when it comes to certain female issues. The GOP's platform for a constitutional amendment that would outlaw abortion. Proposed language doesn't explicitly state exceptions for rape and incest, as we talked about last segment. United against a pay equity bill, and that came up for the second time in the last 2 years. The bill would have built upon the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act. And the Ryan budget plan, among other things, would cut about $832 million from the special supplemental nutrition program for women, infants, children, a program really geared towards low-income women and children, food and health care issues. Now, Republican platform states the Republican president would repeal Obamacare, which has been good for women on a couple fronts. Before Obamacare, women could be charged more for the same health services, and two, Obamacare allows women to get access to contraception without a copay. These are a few of the issues here, and poll after poll show that while this thing is tight when it comes to the female vote here, Romney is behind, as I said, in just about every state. So it's going to be Ann Romney's job tonight, and I've said it before, she's a net asset to this campaign, but she's really got to sell this to make her husband appear not only more human, but more appealing to female voters as well. And I want to bring in Andrew Whitman again, who's live in Tampa, with more on that challenge and what to expect on it tonight.
Rich, thank you. The convention is now taking a dinner break, which means it is nice and quiet, and we can talk to Bernadette Comfort. She is with the group Women for Mitt. Bernadette, thanks for joining us.
Oh, thank you, Andrew.
How critical do you think Ann Romney's speech is going to be tonight, especially trying to appeal to undecided female voters?
Oh, I think it's going to be terrific tonight, first of all. I think it's going to be more of the same with Mrs. Romney, to tell you the truth. I think that we have all gotten to know her through the campaign. She's a wonderful person. She's full of grace and courage. Yet you can sense that tenacity. I mean, if you've heard her speak on the campaign trail, she's just phenomenal, and we're expecting more of the same, and it resonates with both men and women.
There is a big gender gap, as Rich was just talking about, in some of the polls that we're seeing. Can her speech help close that gap? What does she have to do? What notes does she have to try to close that gap?
Well, you know, honestly, I don't know that it's about her speech, that gender gap. I think she certainly can help in any way, in any capacity tonight, the governor's message. But I really think the gender gap is one that will close because women are seeing that Governor Romney is the right person to lead this country back to prosperity. So I do think that there's promise ahead, and there's future. You know, the future's looking bright. We have a new ABC poll this week, actually, that says that Governor Romney's ahead by 15% with married women. So.
But there are, Bernadette, some issues that seem to play into that gender gap, and I'm sure you get asked about them all the time. Things like the party's platform on abortion or contraception funding or women's nutrition or equal pay. How do you respond to those women when they ask you about those particular issues and wonder if Mitt Romney or the GOP is perhaps out of touch with women?
Oh, candidly, to be honest, Andrew, I get asked mostly about economic issues. This term women's issues. Women are concerned about their children. They're concerned about paying the bills. They pay 85% of the bills in this country. I mean, they're concerned about what's facing our country in terms of the economy. This is about jobs, jobs, and jobs.
But I am obliged to ask you about those kinds of issues, and what would your response be to somebody who would say, I'm concerned about those issues that I listed before?
Well, I think that, you know, we're not a one-issue campaign, and we're not a one-issue party. And I think that we stand for a strong fiscal America as a party. And I think that's what women are really concerned about, to tell you the truth.
And so it's the fiscal issues trumping any of those other ones?
Absolutely, absolutely.
All right, Bernadette Comfort, Women for Mitt, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for your time. Great convention.
All righty, and that is the latest from here in Tampa. Again, just want to give you an update. Before they recessed for dinner, Rich, they did officially nominate Paul Ryan for vice president, so the ticket is now set. Romney-Ryan, not much of a surprise as we thought going in. Let's send it back to you in the studio, Rich.
Yeah, hopefully no one's putting newsflash from the bottom on that one. Thank you, Andrew. All right. Ann Romney, I think it'll be a surprise if she doesn't do well tonight. You now counsel, Tom, Chris Christie, let's say. Do you say go for the jugular tonight, Or do you say, tone down a little bit? We got, we got the optics stuff that we talked about at the beginning of the night.
No, I mean, I think that Chris Christie needs to be Chris Christie. And I think that what he needs to talk about is how he has gotten stuff done, how Republican governors have gotten stuff done.
He's not going to talk about the Jersey comeback tonight. He won't mention the phrase at all in the
I
speech.
think he will talk about, in a broad brush, about how Republican governors have succeeded around the country, whether it's a Scott Walker, whether it's a Chris Christie, whether it's Scott down in Florida, the things that they have done. And also, I think, listen, every keynote speaker's job is to fire up the convention. And I think, as he said last night, I got to make sure I don't have much coffee today because he's a fiery guy to begin with. Again, the storm is not hitting until after he's done speaking. I don't think the optics of tonight, he has to worry about it.
Governor Christie, I don't think he could tone it down if he wanted to. That's just his nature. But, I think that maybe we should take a step back because I was saying earlier, the same thing happened 4 years ago where the convention was cut down. I remember being in Minneapolis. It was cut down from, 4 days until 3 when the nominee was the Arizona Senator John McCain, and it was because of a hurricane right?
I think it was.
So, and at the end of the week, this week is going to be great for Romney. He's going to get a boost in the polls. We'll see what happens. But right now, I'm just not feeling too good for President Obama right now.
All right. Now, I'll tell you who you're probably not also feeling pretty good for, and that's for one Vito Lopez. When we come back, we'll turn our attention from Tampa to Albany, and there's been a couple lawmakers here that are either doing a perp walk or could be doing one in the not-too-distant future, and it gets even worse here for some big-name figures in New York politics. We're going to catch up on that story right after this.